So we're going to remove this tarp. And the tarp, just to let you guys know, there's a final sheet behind this. It does fairly well, but it's cold, right? So we got to 30 degrees. I'll show you what we're going to do next. We've taken the tarp off. We secured the inside of this sheet. This sheet is taped on the other side to the wall. You see the sheetrock standing out there, right there? And along here? If you don't get that off, because of the way these doors are, you're going to be mucho sorry later on.
This right here will stand out. When you need to trim this out, you'll have to come in with about a 1 inch, 1.125 board. Then you'll put your trim on, because your door only goes to about here. You want this flush.
You want all that sheetrock.
And we're going to use this.
Flush. So this is called a rasp, right? This is very handy, y'all. We're going to use this to take off the sheetrock that stands out. So the reason you put the sheet up is, hopefully you will see all the silt and sheetrock dust that you see flowing. If you don't do that, it goes in your house. When you turn your furnace on, it is not good for your furnace. Hit it,
Not
Beck.
good for anything.
We're going to show you, okay, we're going to show you this edge first. You all see that sticking out? Hit it, Becky.
Just with one
swipe.
even 2 swipes, but all the dust goes everywhere.
You see how it's knocking down? So we're going to get all that smooth around there. That's a rasp, y'all. So that's all you do. See the sheetrock dust coming out? If you don't have this up, it's going to go in your house. And whoever has to clean it up in there is not going to be a happy camper. We've got an issue to deal with. When my sister's doing that, I'll show you. Here's our problem. Okay, this bottom plate is out about a 1/2 inch. The one on the opposing side, which I'd show you, but she's doing the sheetrock and stuff, is out about 1/4. No, you're fine. You're fine. We're going to, before we do anything else after the sheetrock, we're going to attempt to hit that in. If we don't do something with that, the plane that the door sits on, up and down, will not be, it won't all be in plane, the sliding glass door. Because on that side, right there, it's coming out 1/4 inch, right there, y'all. The other one is coming out about a 1/2 inch. So we might have to split the difference. And we're going to use some string to see how cross-legged this opening is. And we'll show you that in a minute too. There's our little feral cat over there. I'm glad you guys asked about him. His name is Greg. Greg, say good morning to everybody. Oh, hello, honey. Say hello. There he is. He said hello. Okay, we're going to use this nail punch, y'all. Again, I might call it a hole punch, but it's nail punch. And we're going to put a little divot right there at the corner. It's just to make a little hole, little divot for you to put your screw in. So, again, you're going to go like, boop, right here, y'all. Shoop. Not over here, not up there, right there. Do. Okay? And cause a little divot. So what we're going to do now, y'all, is we're going to put screws at each corner. This one we're going to have to work on because, as you see, it's impaired. Screws at each corner of this frame. Then we're going to run some string across that in an X pattern and see if this is what's called cross-legged, and we'll show you that in a minute. Got these at the Restore for $3.50. That's what I'm talking about, y'all. Be cheap.
I don't want to fight the screw and have to hold on to the threads because they're a little rough. Just give it a little start like that.
Tappy, tappy with the hammer.
And
then she'll drive that screw in.
Then it'll go without too much of an argument. There you go.
There you go. Okay, y'all. We just did these strings. We went diagonally with the strings. See how this is off? These strings should be lightly touching like that. It's off about 1/4 inch. So we're out of plane by that. You want to make sure the string is up next to the building, like that. See what I mean? Like up there, up next to the building. Now we're going to do the opposite side. So here, we'll take this and string. You grab that. There you go. opposite side. Pull it tight down there about where it would go in. You want some gloves back?
No, I'm sorry. Holding it right here.
Okay, y'all, so look at this. I'm going to pull this string away, this string over here. See? Should actually be right about just barely touching, but it's pushing that in. So we're off. We got to kick that wall down there, try to get those walls where they're in the same plane. So that's a little trick, and I'll show you manually what's happening. It's called cross leg. The way you do the string tricky thing, just tie it up here, y'all. You want that string close to the building. Go down there, up, and then across down here. So there you go. We'll show you with these what happens if it's cross-legged. You all see that down there? Pretend those are your doors. And they're right where they're supposed to be. See that? If it's cross-legged, one will kick out. And they won't close properly, particularly on like French doors, patio doors. So I hope you guys can see that. Can you demonstrate that? Where they're aligned with each other. So my sister will demonstrate that. See how they're together there? These, say it's a French door, sliding glass door. If one's kicked out, if it's cross-legged, see how it kicks out here? You want that to be
like
in the
on
same
ours,
plane.
It's a 1/4 of an inch at the center. It's not in the track properly. It's
not in the
twisted.
track.
It's
That's
twisted
right.
a little bit.
So if these were French doors and you tried to close them, they'll never completely come together. You don't want that. And with the sliding glass door, it will affect the operation of the sliding glass
The
door.
rails.
The rails, where the rails are. So we're going to try to kick this in right here, y'all, with a sledgehammer, and we'll see if it works. The nails already came out. So we're going to use a piece of wood and then try to move that bottom plate in a bit. Sister was saying if there's sheetrock, it could crack it on the inside. That's a call y'all will have to make. Mine's not stellar. As you see, that's my current floor. So I have to redo the whole house, so it doesn't really matter. So we're going to take these strings off and do that right now. Okay, y'all, we're trying to get this moved back right there. Boop. I hope y'all can see that. This bottom plate back to the sill because it's out and it's causing the door to be, it will cause the door to be out of plane. So we're going to give it a wacky doodle with a sledgehammer. Boop. Right there, y'all. Big old sledgehammer and a block of wood.
Want me
Here.
to try?
Oh, yes. Do you have safety glasses on?
I got
So,
glasses on.
right there, y'all. She's going to do that. We got movement. You bet.
I wanted to use this block, 4x,
4x4.
to put even pressure on the stud and the plate.
It's not perfect, but it's not. It's better than it was. We got a little movement on that thing and knocked her back. You got to put these nails in. Right in there. They're a little long for what we like, so my sister's nipping them off.
Just
See?
use the nippers and put a little on them
Hoof in
and
'em.
then take them and
She twisty back and forth.
back and forth, yeah.
We'll leave a little point on them so they can be driven. Just if they were left the length they're at, they might not clear. Gone to the sill plate, they might hit concrete. You can still drive that puppy. See that tip? So y'all, this is a square, framing square, right there, that thing. And
Pretty nice, really nice.
see, the wood is cut out here, a little bit of a divot, so we disregard that. If you get it right back to there, see how pretty that is? And square, see how she's flush on the vertical and on the horizontal as well, right? We've got a knot right here that's rocking it, but we're gonna take care of that with a little bit of felt paper. That is nice and square there.
Could you step back and show them?
Yes.
Feel?
That's a good idea, sister. See how good that looks? You're not seeing gaps between
Then
the
if you
wood
want
and
to see
square.
the rest of it, you put the level.
She's got all sorts of tricks.
You hold that down there,
You see that?
and now you get to see whether you're level.
We're very level here,
So-
y'all. Look at that. See that?
It looks really good.
Let's talk a little bit about this. One is, for this particular door I have, across the door, this way, horizontally, it's a 72-inch rough opening, right? That means the opening you have to fit that door in. From top to bottom, the vertical, so top to the sill plate right there, they call for 80. And we have 81, right? So we have to build this up. And the way we build it up is with various sorts of wood. We already have it, and we'll show you how we do that. But if you had to fill in the sides, because people have asked this, if your opening is too wide, you have to do to the sides what we're going to show you to do to the top, which is build it up, right, with lumber.
The spacer should not be a 1x4 or a 2x4, because get a 1x6 and then rip it with a circular saw or table saw to be this width,
Right
which
there.
is
You
3
see
and a
what she's
half
saying?
plus 3/8 right here.
Yeah, so if you used a 2x4, let's just say a 2x4, it would only bring it out to right here, folks. Not quite. If you went all the way back here, it would only bring it out to the 2x4, right? You need to fill in that too, because you have to have something to nail your flange to. What she was saying is, if you had to fill this in, let's just say with a 2x4 to get your rough opening right, and you got the 2x4, you see what happens there? You have that gap. You have to get a 2x6 and rip it, that means cut it, so that it comes out to here, because you have to have something to nail your flange to. All right, y'all, we have the opening right now from top to bottom is 81. The rough opening, which means the opening needs to be top to bottom, 80. So we have this
1 inch.
1 inch piece of wood. So what we've done so far is cut it to 4.5 inches. 4.5 inches wide. See that? 4.5. So that up there happens to be 4.5. So the reason we did it is so that I won't have a gap here. We're going to take that piece of wood and put it up. Just right there.
Flush with
Okay.
the siding, and it'll be
And
flush with the sheetrock.
With a sheetrock. And what we're doing right now is we're putting divots in.
Just
that,
showing, yeah, showing you here, but we're going to do it on the ground, so we don't
Yeah.
have to work so hard and pre-drill these holes, so you don't have to work upside down.
We're putting divots in here, y'all. We're going in about 1.25 inches on either side. That'll sink the head of the screw. We screw those in. Now we're going to pre-drill this. All right, y'all, we're going to be using, let me stand here, 2-inch wood screws, right? Into this wood down here, we don't want to fight that wood when we're putting these screws in to that top plate up there, or the piece, the 2x4 in the opening at the top. So what we do is we take a drill bit. It's bigger, see that? It's larger in diameter than the screw itself, so we don't have to fight that piece of wood. All right, that's what we're going to do now. Pre-drill those holes right there. We just have a piece of wood behind that piece of wood, so we don't drill in the concrete. For sealant around here, I'm using the Vulcan 116. It's a polyurethane sealant. I like it. We use it on the gutters and on the roof. These are the screws we're putting in. We're going to pre-drill, so it's just easier on us old ladies. And if you see, we're getting a drill bit that's smaller than the screw, but it's about the size of the body. I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully you can. So we're going to see how the threads protrude past the drill bit. That's what we're looking for. So we're going to pre-drill with that. Oh, perfect. See that? Like Sister said, you want to grab the wood on either side before you start drilling or pre-drilling, so you know that it's flush on each side. We made divots in this piece of wood with a larger drill bit so we could sink the heads right there. We did that along there. Then we took it like this, made it flush, pre-drilled here, and then we actually made a little divot with an ice pick. Took this off, we removed it, pre-drilled, got those two up, and then did the others.
Nice air and sound barrier.
Yeah, it's nice air and sound barrier, y'all. We put some Vulcan on the ends, and up in the corners, and up on the other board at the end. So we're going to put this up now. Now,
She's set in stone.
what I'm going to do here now is just fill some of this in with the Vulcan, some sealant, so there's no air infiltration right along there. Right along there. And right along there. We're going to take this, it's 5/8 by 2 3/8 piece of redwood that will not be painted or treated.
filler.
It's a filler. It's got, the door has to have it because it protrudes out right
And
there.
the fins will rest on this surface.
Yeah. See where my sister's rubbing? The fins will rest on that surface.
It matches up with the sheathing.
Yep,
The
it
siding.
matches up. Can you hold that up? See? It matches up with that siding well enough. This will be sucked in a little bit, so it'll do a nice job. And if we have any gaps, we're going to fill it with some felt paper right there. We took this piece of redwood and we cut off 1.5 inches so that it covers this sill plate. It's going to provide support to the sliding glass door that protrudes out about this distance. So
Fin will be on here.
the fin will be affixed to, you see where my finger is, y'all? Moving, that's where it will be affixed to. We made these tick marks on this, which correspond to the screw areas, holes in the flange of the sliding glass door, because we don't want to put a screw in here where it's going to interfere with affixing the flange to this. We use this drill bit to make divots right there for the head of that screw into the wood so we can sink the head of the screw. Now we're going to use this drill bit. It's a larger than this screw so that we don't have to fight the wood and we can get a little bit of movement if we need to. Then we'll use another bit that's just about the size of the body of this screw to pre-drill into that sill plate. We're going to take a screw in the middle first, y'all, because the sill isn't completely level. Then we can bend the board just a little bit. We're using a little ice pick to make a divot so we can pre-drill that hole. We're using exterior screws and leave it a little loose so we can get that over there, y'all. This piece of redwood flexes a good deal, so we're going to walk out the screws this way. So y'all, you want to make sure this piece of trim is not going to hit. It's going to be flush with this or a little below, because you don't want it above. She good. Now she ain't moving nowhere. Awesomeness has happened. We've got a 4-foot level and this is a 6-foot opening. So if you have a 4-foot level, you have to level from about here to here and then move it and level that way, right? Because it doesn't go the whole width. We took 30-pound felt, this stuff, right? This is 15-pound, it's thinner. And we're going to shim it here because we have knots in this wood that if you were to put a 6-foot level across here, it would look level. But we don't want dips in the door. So we took a piece of 30-pound felt paper. We've got a dip there and then a dip over here. So we like these. We're going to put some Volcom on it, sealant, and then staple them in place to get us level. It'll squish up. So y'all, we put sealant on it so no vermin can come over and air infiltration. Take a pencil, draw a line around it so you put it back in the same place it came out from. Do it like this. So y'all, right now that's level. When you look at this little glass here, see that? She level. Now we're taking 15-pound felt. We're doing good now. Make sure you press the level down. All right, y'all. Here's how we shim this door. We use some 30-pound felt, which is the thicker, and some 15, which is the thinner, because we have lumps in here from knots that we're not going to take down. So we use the level. We put in a series of the felt like this and leveled it up as we went along. So y'all just have to figure out where you need some fill-in. See that? We tacked it in with staples. We put some sealant behind it. And then here we actually put 30-pound with 15-pound on top because that's what we needed. So now we have a completely level opening like that. We could have taken an Orville sander and taken down the humps, but we did not want to. Okay, y'all, what we did yesterday at the end of the workday is we put this door in just to keep it in and upright so we didn't have to worry about it falling overnight, and so I would have some sort of warmth. So let's get to the old flashing. This is flashing. I've got other flashing too, Pella. I bought some different types. There is paper you remove from the back of these that allow you to adhese it to around your door frame, right? I'm not going to flash that way. I'm going to re-side this house. So flashing would be premature. All I'm going to do is caulk behind this fin. I'll show you later. And then put the old trim back on until I actually side. And then I'll bring tie back up to it or house wrap and then put some flashing or tape and all that kind of stuff. But all I'm going to do is put Vulcum 116, which is a polyurethane sealant, behind this door. And when I get to that, I guess I'll show you why I wouldn't, or I'll tell you now why I wouldn't use silicone. Once silicone is cured, well, once you put silicone on, if you don't get all of it off, that means every little stitch, nothing else will stick to that silicone, including other silicone. So if somebody were to remove this door in the future and try to get that silicone off, they likely wouldn't get it all off because people think they can cheat and not remove all of it. So then they would try to put other sealant on and it wouldn't adhere. So that's why I'm not going to use silicone. Y'all, I'm going to start putting the Vulcum on around the perimeter of the siding, and at the bottom we're going to be putting the door in. Going around the door, keeping in mind we did a pencil line so we'd know where to go. If y'all are going to use the Vulcum, make sure, or any sealant, except maybe silicone, put that in the sun, let it bake in the sun for a while. If it's cold day and it's cold. We're going to put the door in now. What you'll see us doing, y'all, is taking that door rather than going flush in. We're going to tip it so it doesn't disturb the sealant over at the bottom of that sill plate. So the door, don't put it in like this, straight in. Tip her back, rest her on the sill plate, and put her in. We're going to tilt like this, right? Yeah. Layer it. Okay, let's do it. Tilt. Now I have to move my hand. You got her? It's far, okay. Let's push it at the bottom, her foot. And now we're going to line her up. She look. Okay, I think she's good. She's perfectly lined up. Come on, little baby. That looks perfect. Down here, not that it really matters. This is all done. Beautiful. Beautiful. Perfect. Yeah, beautiful. We put a level on it. Perfect. Much better. I don't either. See how level that is? That's perfect, y'all. So we're going to keep that. Now we're going to start securing her. Y'all, they're just roofing nails so that it's flush to the fin. They're about 1 1/8 to 1 1/4 inches. That's what we're using. Some people use 2. We're using these. Alrighty, folks. We're going to put some trim right here to cover that fin and finish it off. I'm going to use redwood. And I'm not going to treat it or paint it. It'll darken over time, but I'm fine with that. 2 3/8 wide by 5/8 thick. Right now, because it's 2 3/8 wide right here, it's too tight. It just is sitting on that concrete, maybe 1/8 of an inch away. We're not comfortable with that. Versus about 1/4 of an inch over here, which is fine. But we're gonna rip it. There's also a screw right here in the door that's holding this off a bit. So we're going to put a divot in this wood on this side so that it sits up nice and flush to this. We beveled it across. There, y'all. So then what we're doing is we're flipping that down and we are putting that underneath that sliding glass door. So now when water hits this, it'll come down, and if it wants to go under their capillary action, it won't be able to suck back because of that bevel and that edge there. It's beveled up, so no go, so it'll drip down. That way you won't rot your wood. We did a little tick here and there on the vinyl frame, so we can get it lined up as best we can. We've done a divot at the top there for the screw that protrudes underneath. We're using 1 5/8". We doubled up this wood. We know that these will work 1 5/8" depth. We pre-sunk the divots so that the head sinks, doesn't stand out. We're going to take a little bit of butyl. This is butyl tape. We're going to put a little bit of this right around the head of the screw on the inside there. The butyl tape will stop any water from getting past that screw. We're not going to use latex caulking or anything. One, I don't really care for it, but two, it's easy to remove if you need to, the screw. So the butyl, just a tiny little bit of rope will go around that. So she's going to take just a little tiny bit of that.
Won't need any more than that for the whole
Whole
thing.
thing, yeah. So see, y'all, just a little bit for the whole
It's
thing.
just going to be that much.
Just that
around.
much.
It's just going to be a tiny little bit around the head of the nail, right here.
The screw.
The screw. Yeah.
There you go.
got a
She
nail.
puts it there, wraps it around.
Till it meets up over here.
Yep, till it meets up. That'll stop any water. There it is. Then when it's sunk, the butyl will expand out a little bit, but butyl will not let any water by. If any protrudes out, you can get it off, but it's not a big deal. We're going to use this drill bit to pre-drill pilot hole. See? And we're going to have to go blind into the wood back there and past the frames. Okay, so we're going to pre-drill this one just for example. While somebody's pushing this up, this piece of wood, up next to this frame, keeping in mind we've got that screw that protrudes, so that we can get it sucked up really well, and then we're going to go along with the rest of it. Here we go, y'all. Wish us luck. We're taking the insides, folks, and working out. Lovely. All right, y'all. I thought I'd show you the finished product on the outside. We put back on the old trim because I'm going to be residing, so I didn't want to have to put on new trim. Let's just keep the flange covered. Put it up the top, but didn't nail into the flange. There you go. That's that. Now on the bottom, this is how the trim looks finished, the redwood. We think it turned out really well. You see that? Okay, it's held away from the concrete. You see that there? Concrete's a little high here. We had to work with that. So it's held away from the concrete. It's got a bevel on her, so if there's any capillary action, the water can't roll back. And we, over here, left this gap purposely. Boop, right there. It's going to be less of a gap once the real trim goes on, but we don't want water to hang out in here. We want it to be able to be free and drop down if any water gets in there. And then over here, the same thing. See the gap? So if y'all did a gap that's really small like that, really tiny, like a 30-second, water can bridge and hang out there. We want to give it about 1/8. And once the trim is on, that'll be about 1/8. And should water get there, it'll drip right down. So that's the finished product on her, y'all. So there you go. She's done on the outside till the siding.